Welcome, welcome. It is Feminine Fridays once again. Hi, Diane.
Hi, Laura. Great to be here, and welcome to the first weekend of July. Or I was going to jump into July, June.
June, yay! It is speeding up, and so we just completed 5 months of the year 2020, hopping into the second. Well, I guess almost the beginning of the second half of the year, but gosh, it's already the 5th of June. So welcome to our Feminine Fridays. We've been doing this for like a year now, almost, huh? So it's real exciting. And as we know, we always talk about some topic that has to do with the feminine, and they are inspired usually by our feminine power cards that you can find at femininepowercards.com. And just to mention who we are, I'm Laura Rubinstein, and this is Diane Halfman, and we love helping you to have a great Friday and bring us enter into the weekend in a very fun and light, delightful, but yet deep way, because we talk about some deeper concepts here. And today is no exception. I did pick a feminine power card, so drum roll, please, for it. So here it is, one of my favorites. I say that every week, but they are like little babies. So you can say anything to anyone when it comes from love. When it comes from love. Love.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
We have a lot of people saying a lot of things, but they're not coming from love. And so I put in the description of today's show, like sometimes that we have difficult things to say that we need to tell people. We avoid it sometimes, right? Sometimes they're taboo subjects. Sometimes we're afraid we're going to hurt their feelings. So you could avoid, talking altogether. And a lot of times that's what people do. We avoid talking, we hold things in. And the other option is you can blurt them out and hurt people, right? You could take a risk by just saying, oh, I got to tell you the truth here. And it hurts. Or I think there's another option, Diane, which is you can do some deeper introspection and really feel into it and really understand the nuances of yourself and where this desire to speak this or where these feelings are coming from. And then create a nuanced conversation to have from love. And until you get to the space of love, I think the conversation is not going to go as well as you think it's going to go.
Right.
If you want the optimal outcome, get to love first.
Yeah, I love this so much because it's funny that this just timing with everything too. I've been just like feeling like I'm searching for words. Like, what are the words that resonate with me, that are in alignment with me? I'm also looking at all the different things happening around me, and I also don't want to have knee-jerk reactions where I'm reacting versus responding, and really just getting in touch with like my own inner wisdom. And as part of that, I've been just doing searching of certain words. Like, I've been putting in love and inner power and strength and friendship and just all the different things that resonate with me, and just seeing what pops up. And there's been these different quotes and just truisms throughout the time that have been popping up that I'm just like, yeah, I feel that. That resonates with me. This is what I want to lift up for, my dear friends and my greater community. And these are the things that I want to have happen. And when all of that is, the under foundation of all of that is love, then people are forgiving if it doesn't come across as well, or that it's nuanced weird. And certain things may trigger people. But if you start from that place of like, I love you, and I want to convey a certain thought, and just let me get it all out, the whole parts of it, right? And not just nuanced aspects of it, but all of it, so people really get to have a deeper understanding of where you're coming from. And when it comes from love, I think people are more apt to listen.
Yeah, if you're not on the attack, if you're not have a hidden agenda to use, sometimes people will use like, oh, I get to this really loving space, and then I can say exactly what I had, and it really actually digs them. if you still have the intention to hurt underneath that loving space, it's not going to work. But yeah, but get to that really loving space and share what you need to share. And sometimes I find it's not the whole thing. It is a nuancing what's really important. Sometimes just having to say the whole thing is meaning I haven't yet processed it fully. So if
Give me the cliff notes.
yeah, and not even the cliff notes was what's really my intention here, and what are the words to fulfill upon that intention in a loving way. And of course we always have a practice on the backside. So we have the principle on the front, which is you can say anything to anyone when it comes from love. And then the backside is it's got a heart at the bottom. That means it's something to contemplate and go deep, like we've been talking about. How can I say what I'm afraid to say from a completely loving space? How can I say what I'm afraid to say from a completely loving space? And sometimes it's things we're embarrassed about or we feel ashamed about. And, and there's a way to say it, like, I'm afraid to say this because I'm afraid it may come off like you're going to hate me after this. And I've thought a lot, but I know for my own sanity and for my integrity, I need to share something with you. Or, and if you can, it takes courage. It takes courage to talk, to speak the things that you feel really you want to get out. And it takes courage to go deep and to say how to say it. And it takes courage to do it and bear the response. But ideally, the whole purpose is to grow closer, right, to people and to feel like you're not stuffing down. We talked about that card about toxics or secrets are toxic. So, and sometimes it's not, you may even wind up thinking about that you may need to speak it to someone else first before you speak it to the person you think you need to speak it to. Or you may be able to process it in such a way that you may never need to speak it to that person.
Right.
And if you get to a place of completion within yourself, because other people really can't complete that for you. You have to do the work anyway.
Right. Well, and I think too that sometimes people will speak to be heard or feel like they have to speak. And I think that if you speak without coming from that place of what is the impact I want to have, what is my intention with this? Am I really coming from a place of love? Am I really checking in of what's important to me, and to actually listen to find out what's important to the person you're speaking with? Like, what's the whole purpose of the dialogue anyway? And so many times that, we're all guilty of times where instead of really truly listening, we're waiting to speak. Right.
Right.
And so is it my turn yet? Like, what's, yeah. And so, to really come from that place of what did they actually say? And then to actually digest that and to give yourself, a deep breath or a moment, or, let that land for a second before I just turn around and just react and say something. It's so much more powerful to respond intentionally and not from a censoring standpoint, but from a place of what's true for you.
Right.
And I think that is a very loving place to come from, is that you think enough about the person you're having a conversation with that you are letting it digest within you. You're checking in with your inner wisdom. You're like, okay, I care about this person. I want to make sure that we are actually having understanding, that we're not just chatting, right? And that there's something happening with that. And when you interweave that with love, I mean, that's always going to be an elevated conversation.
And being very present with yourself and what you're going through, and just double checking yourself. Like, is what I'm saying really what I'm saying? Is what I'm saying really aligned with what I'm feeling? Is it what I'm saying aligned with the intention that I had? And if it's not, time out. It's okay to ask for time out and say, you know what? I'm not liking this conversation. For me, I need to take a break or come back to it. Or, you know what? I think I made a mistake. Whatever it is, it's all, over here to do that work. And to give yourself the graciousness, is I think what you're saying, is to come from love, to allow yourself to think through it, to come to a place where you can be in full intent of what you really want as an outcome. And the more you practice with these cards, the more layers get revealed to you about yourself. And so this is what I find when I'm doing this. So these cards are not new, the feminine power cards. And the principles are not new. They're worded in a specific way and to cover what it is to live in our feminine energy, to bring more feminine energy into the world, in our world that really, really, really needs it right now. We need a lot of compassion. We need a lot of graciousness. We need a lot of grace, period. You know, like we need to, and we are the ones to do it. So if you're watching today, you can cultivate this in your own life and be that with other people. And also look for it. Look for where other people are and just smile at them. You know, be that energy booster. I mean, smiles are energy boosters, right?
Yeah,
You can make
definitely.
somebody's day just by smiling at them. Um, so we hope that this brings to you. And as a shout out, I want to say thanks, Christine. Apparently, she said it's so lovely to see us both. And I said, it's great to see you too, Christine. Mwah. You know, if that's all we do today is give you a little bit more love and permission to love more, hey, we did our job, don't you think?
Absolutely. And something else that came to mind is, we all wear so many different hats. So think about what are the hats that we're wearing when we are having conversation, when we're doing. I'm just thinking of all the different hats I've worn, from a retired police officer to, a wife, a mother, a friend, a daughter, a community member, a woman. I mean, there's so many different come to places that we can come from, that when we take all of that,
Oh, we
actually
take it all.
really,
You just
you know,
blipped out for half a second here.
yeah, no worries. That was like we were bleeping all the versions of ourselves that was coming out there. And when we take all of that into consideration, sometimes it's not even about the words. It's about who we're being, like really embodying all of those different things that we wear. And sometimes we don't even have to say a word. How are we showing up in our energy? That is just a huge form of love and wisdom. Sometimes just a nod to someone, an acknowledgement to someone, of inclusiveness of someone. Sometimes just doing some of those things is the greatest expression of that love,
Mm,
versus all the words that could say that maybe don't even say enough of the meaning that we want to have behind it. But when we are being love and we show up as that, we can encompass all the different aspects of who we are, and people feel that.
they do. And life becomes less of a struggle. You know, it becomes a flow and ease and manifesting things that you do want. And so I love this idea of expanding the energy that you want to have expanded. So embodying that energy to in order to expand it is just something to practice over the weekend, perhaps, right?
Yes. Yes, yes, yes.
So, and
Awesome.
yeah, hey Ben. Ben's here. He's over on Twitch. We're actually broadcasting also on Twitch. So we're excited to
Awesome.
have anyone here who wants to expand that positive energy in the world and embrace embrace being that positive force for good in our world.
Yeah. Well, and we'd love, like, whether you're going to put it here in the comments or you're just absorbing it into your heart, just think about, how are you going to be loved this weekend?
Yeah. How are you going to be loved this weekend? That's awesome. I'd love to hear about that. How are you? I'm going to put it in the comments here. Going to be loved this weekend and beyond. And that's a great question, little exercise and perspective exercise to share with yourself at any time is, how are you going to be loved now? How can I be loved right now? How can I
Right.
be loved right now? It's great. And how are you going to be loved this weekend? Anybody have any ideas? Let us know. Fun. Really fun
Absolutely.
to play here. It's really, it's that time of year where we get to play and expand and enjoy the beautiful weather that we have all around in various parts of the country. So, in the world, in fact, the northern hemisphere, at least, and most of the world actually at this time is really beautiful. So, take it in, and we just love that you're here and spreading that energy of positivity. And again, the feminine power card that we pulled today is, you can say anything to anyone when it comes from love. But, There's not permission to say anything and say, "Oh, I'm saying this in a loving way." No, it's like you really have to come from a completely loving space. The exercise is to go into deep contemplation. And how can I say what I'm afraid to say from a completely loving space? There's actually a number of questions in there. Are you afraid to say something? If so, why? Is there another feeling? Maybe it's not afraid, maybe there's another intention feeling behind it. What is that? And until you uncover and you're really clear, then you can embody that, that love and come to the table from that. I think I've told the story before where I was had a friend over and I was single at the time. And I was feeling kind of raw, actually. I was out of a relationship, and she said, "Let's go to the movies." And I said, "Okay." And I said, "As long as it has a happy ending, because I really need a happy ending. I'm too fragile emotionally right now." So we went to see the movie Unfaithful, which does not have a happy ending. Little did I know. Little did she know. I was so mad afterwards, so mad. So it was like, what could have I said to her at that moment? I just said nothing. All I said was, I didn't need to see that. And then I went and I journaled and I cried and I took a bath and I journaled some more and I pounded a pillow. And then I got to this like healing space. Like, oh my gosh, I would not have had that. It was like a cathartic experience. This cathartic experience, if I hadn't seen the movie and hadn't been angry that I had seen the movie. And then I came out, and what there was to say was not, why did you make me do this? I can't believe we did this. And no, it was like, I am so grateful for you, because even though I didn't want to see that movie, I am so glad that you're here with me right now, because I just had this amazing cathartic experience, and I'm sorry I was ignoring you for the last 20, 50 minutes, whatever it was, but I love you and you're here and I can be with you and don't feel bad, because I think she felt bad in that moment. So it was taking the time to go through whatever I need to go through and not take that emotion and just try to lash it out. But bring it in and say, what is all this about? I had lots of revelations in the journaling and healing through it. So it's an opportunity when we feel things and we just want to blurt to not do that,
Right. Absolutely. Well, and that just reminds me too about, a lot of people are being triggered by a lot of different things that are happening in the world. I mean, think about just 2020 in general. If you think of every month of this year, what things have you been triggered each month that have popped up? This is a great time for some introspection and to, whether it's journal, walk in nature, to really start going, why did certain things trigger you? And how are you going to process those things? And maybe you're doing that with another person, whether that's formally with a coach or if that's with a best friend, but to really speak those things, because that's where you start really getting to the truth of your inner truth, right? And that's when you're coming from that place of love, you can really start processing. People have been processing a lot of stuff lately, right? And some people are like, it's not even just from this year, it's maybe triggering things from years and decades of things that have happened. And these may just be some events that are triggering long-standing things, and it's an opportunity to look to where you can find the healing. And when that comes from a loving place, the healing is deeper, and it always does start with ourselves, about having self-love, having some compassion, and then we can actually be that for other people as well.
Yeah, and you mentioned something earlier about you didn't always sometimes you don't have the words for things, and I think that's a very valid place to be. We may have a lot of feelings, but we don't have the words to express it, and it's okay. Know that you're not alone in that. Somebody asked me the other day, "How are you feeling?" And I'm like, "How are you?" And I go, "Well, things are normal, but they're not normal.
Yeah.
They're completely not normal." Right? Like, a lot of things about my life are normal, but there's something very not normal here. And I don't have any more words than that, but I don't like that it's not normal, and I don't know what that means. Is it bringing up something from my past? Is it something that, like, I'm not clear? And it's okay. I'm staying in the inquiry of it, like, what is the energy I want? What is this energy that's coming up? What is the energy that I want? Where do they meet and where do they transform? So I'm being open to that transformation. And I think that's why getting out and walking and being in nature is really powerful, because it allows you to expand your thinking. Sometimes I like to go and hang upside down. You've seen me hang upside down.
I've seen you do that.
I haven't gone to do that at the monkey bars, but it helps. It just gives you another perspective, right? Go do
Right.
some jumping jacks, go do something that gets the heart rate going to give me that different perspective so I can have some more expansive view of things. So
Right,
anyway.
definitely. It's funny. I was talking with a client of mine this morning, and she's like, the first thing she says, everything in my life is great. Like, everything is just great. She's like, but there's some energy that's happening that I can't even articulate, and it makes it not great, but it's great. And we just kind of walked through what were some things that were actually happening for her, and she got to have some really big ahas of like, you know what? It's okay to feel great and work through things at the same time. Like, you can be both, right? You
Yeah.
can have those things happen. And that's some self-love around that, is to just acknowledge where you are in the moment. And I've talked to certain friends where they're like, I'm fine now, and 10 minutes from now I'm losing it, and then 10 minutes from now I'm okay, and then I'm losing it. And so, it's all okay, right? To just feel all of it. And it's okay if you don't have the words to go with that, but
Yes.
just to feel all of it, and just know that we love you, and we're in the soup with you,
Oh,
and any way we can support, reach out, because if we're not loving each other, we're not moving forward in any way.
right. Definitely. You're okay, and we're here for you. Feminine Power Cards are here for you at femininepowercards.com. You've got a wonderful podcast there, bit.ly/spa life podcast. There's lots of resources. So if you need to mix it up and want to change your energy up in your life a little bit, go ahead and take advantage of our resources here. And we will be back for another episode next week. And in the meantime, go ahead and embody the energy you want to expand to the best of your ability. And if you can't, you can't. You know, just know that you're loved and give yourself that love too.
Absolutely. Mwah. Love you all.
Love ya. See you next week.